Hi everybody, Tex-Mex here. Thanks for joining me for another video. Today I'm taking a look at a beautiful revolver I have. It's a Smith Wesson 67-1. This is a K-frame. It was produced in the 1970s. This is the stainless version of the Model 15 Combat Masterpiece. This one has a 4-inch barrel, and this one also has the larger combat grips, and they're beautiful grips. Many of these have a more standard square grip, which I also like as well. Those fit very comfortable in my hand, but these large combat grips are beautiful. Now, as you can see, this is an older revolver. It's got a lot of scruffing on it. Even the grips look very well worn. Still a beautiful revolver. Let's check it here. You can see it is a 6-shot. Like I said, it is a K-frame. It balances really nice. It has adjustable sights in the back and just the orange insert on the front. Now, I purchased this used off an individual, so by the time this got to me, it was already in very well-worn condition, but I think it's a lovely revolver. K-frames and 38 specials are a pleasure to shoot. Since I'm sure this one has seen a lot of use, I'm sure the springs are well-worn, but one of the things we're going to do is we're going to test the single and double action trigger, see what kind of weight our trigger gauge shows us, and then I'm going to go ahead and fire some rounds down range. I've never sighted this in. I'm assuming it's probably sighted in, but I don't know for certain. I've got a couple of different loadings here, but I think I'll probably mainly use these 158 grain. This is a lead round nose. I also have some 38 special 110 grain. These are old Remington semi-jacketed hollow points. I actually like these a lot for lesser expensive self-defense rounds. But before we get shooting, let me go ahead and pull out the trigger gauge and see what kind of pull we have on this revolver. So let's go ahead and test the trigger pull. I am going to use my shooting bag here. I'm going to rest the barrel in there, make sure the cylinder isn't touching anything and the hammer isn't touching anything, so I'm not interfering with any weight that's being put on the trigger. So we'll try the double action first. 9 pounds, 2.1 ounces. 9 pounds, 5.1 ounces. Make sure this is straight. 8 pounds, 4.6 ounces. So really nice double action trigger pull. Let me clear these out. And now let's try the single action trigger pull. I expect it's going to be extremely light. And once again, before I do that, let me show everybody it's completely empty. I checked it right before testing for the double action. Let's cock it. See what kind of single action trigger pull we get. 3 pounds, 11.1 ounces. Three pounds, 5.1 ounces. Do one more. 3 pounds, 12.1 ounces. So yeah, nice trigger. And single action, just over 3 pounds. Well, getting close to 4 pounds, but that's a nice trigger pull. So now that we've tested that out, I'm going to go ahead and load some ammunition into this fine revolver, and let's see how well we do here at 25 yards. Okay, I've loaded 6 rounds of that lead round nose Federal 158 grain. I'm going to use this bag to rest so I can try to be as accurate as possible. But I'm not going to rest the firearm on it. I'm just resting my arms on it and keeping the firearm just in my hands. Once again, we're at 25 yards. I am going to use single action just to try to squeeze as much accuracy out of this revolver as I can. Okay, and that is 6 rounds fired off. I can see that I hit the first one on the bullseye, and then the rest were hitting a little high, a few to the left. So now let's go ahead and load some of this 110 grain, the semi-jacketed hollow points, and see how well they do. Now I've loaded 6 of the Remington, and it's this semi-jacketed hollow point versus the Federal that was just this lead round nose. Now, this is 110 grain, so I don't expect it to group anywhere near the 158 grain, but you never know. We are only at 25 yards. And just so you know, I've never adjusted the sights on this firearm. Like I said, I bought it used. I've mainly just cleaned it up and put a few rounds through it, but I haven't really cleaned it or anything of that sort. I could adjust the sights for one of these ammunitions if I wanted to, but for now I'm just trying to see where they're hitting. Much lower. Okie doke. That's 6 rounds. Let's go take a look at our target. So here we are at our target, and you can see here these were the grouping of the 158 grain lead round nose, and this is the grouping of the, was it 110 grain semi-jacketed hollow point. They both hit relatively well. I don't have a lot of experience with this firearm, so I haven't put many rounds down range with it. I think if I drifted it, both of them are almost centered. I think windage, I probably would just need to drift it a little bit to the right. But first I decide which ammunition it likes, which one I want to shoot with, and then I would obviously adjust the firearm for that particular ammunition. But either way, it did fairly well. It feels great. That single action trigger is really, really light and crisp. The front sight's a little thick, as is on most of these old type of revolvers. And unfortunately, the shooting glasses I have that are shaded, which is what I'm using right now because it is pretty sunny out here, aren't the best glasses. I need to get some new shooting glasses that are closer to my prescription because my front sight is a little bit hazy right now. But you know, like I said, with age, that's just something to expect. But even with that, not bad at all, really. I mean, that's a good little group here, and that's a good little group here. If I could get them all on center and inside the bullseye, that would be much better, and I'm sure with some practice with this particular revolver I could. But let me go ahead and finish up. I'm going to test the double action trigger by shooting at some steel. So I've loaded in 6 more rounds of the 158 lead round nose. Let's see how that double action feels on some steel. Oh yeah, that's very, very nice. In fact, that was so much fun. I'm going to try it again. This time I'm going to use the 110 grain jacketed soft point. And now we're back with the 110 grain semi-jacketed hollow points. Now, since I am using the double action trigger, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how quickly I can double tap some rounds onto that center target, and then I may slowly take some slower shots onto the smaller targets on the side. So let's see how well we do with the double tap. Oh yeah, I mean, quick shots, both right on target. Yeah, and if you take slower shots, you can hit the other targets. Let's do a double tap again to the center. Easy as pie. What a great revolver. So the Smith Wesson 67-1 K-frame 38 special. What a joy to shoot. Obviously, it's seen a lot of rounds downrange already. I have no idea how many rounds it saw before I came into possession of this firearm, but I'm sure it was quite a few. The trigger is amazingly smooth in both single and double action. I think this would be a great revolver for someone who maybe is shy from a little bit of recoil, doesn't want to go for a 357 Magnum, that might want something a little softer shooting, and boy, was this a soft shooting revolver. It's not terribly heavy, but the weight really tames those specials, whether they were the 110 grain or the 158 grain. Neither of them had much recoil. Both were very easy to shoot. And with these good sights on there, you can really start trying to dial in your point of impact to your point of aim and get the accuracy really, really nice. So I can see why this was the sidearm for many law enforcement officials for so many years, because it is. They're great, reliable, easy to shoot, and very accurate. Now, luckily, it does seem that Smith & Wesson has decided to start producing some of these old models again. Whether they'll produce this one in particular, I have no idea. But it's nice to see that they're coming back out with no lock versions of some of these classic revolvers. I'm always skeptical of new production compared to old production in many different types of products, including firearms. But if you can find one of these, I mean, these were produced for quite some time and were very popular. So there's a lot of used ones out there on the market. They aren't terribly expensive. They aren't terribly inexpensive, but they're relatively well priced for the quality of the firearm that you are getting. Y'all take care, be safe. I hope you're having fun sending rounds down range, and I'll see you in the next video.